They'll move on from Jason Garrett. That's been the expectation all along. If they didn't make a deep playoff run, obviously they're not going to do that. So the question is how it ends with a guy that Jerry Jones really likes an awful lot and when the timetable is. I wouldn't be surprised if something happened today. The Cowboys would like to get going on a coaching search. A lot of different ways this could go, I think, with the Cowboys. You know, you hear the name of Urban Meyer as somebody who's of interest to them. Are they of interest to him is a big question, right? Lincoln Riley, same thing, the Oklahoma coach. And there's a number of different ways you can go. You hear all kinds of things. You hear if the Vikings were to get eliminated, you know, would they make a play for Mike Zimmer, a guy with some history there in Dallas? And then you also hear the possibility, however remote, that maybe they would give the job to Jason Witten, who was brought back in. Yes,
Jason Witten.
I think it's unlikely, but I don't think it's completely off of the table. I think there's a lot of possibilities in Dallas.
Mina, what's your takeaway from that?
I think the college coaches are the most likely, and Lincoln Riley seems to be the leader in the clubhouse. I like it in some ways, right? Everyone I've ever spoken with who's played for Lincoln Riley loves him. However, the Cowboys' offense was already good. First in yards per play, second in efficiency. It's the defense that's been the problem. Does anyone who watched the Peach Bowl feel great about him coming in and fixing this defense? That is my concern with that hire for the Cowboys. Now, he could be humble, bring on a defensive coordinator, assuming they're going to place Rashard Marinelli, who knows more than him about that unit, but he would have to do that to succeed.
I'm still stuck on Jason Witten. I still can't imagine that as a potential choice.
They see him with a coaching future. I think it's, you know, depending how the staff shakes out, maybe he starts out as an assistant coach, but they see him as someone who can be the head coach of the team someday.
All right, Laura, you know, a lot to consider with the next move for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how this all goes down. Also fascinating, potentially, how Jerry Jones handles it. Let's start on the Jason Witten piece, because they were just talking about it. We'll get to Urban and some other candidates there. But what are your thoughts on Jason Witten potentially taking over this job?
To me, it makes a good amount of sense. What was the #1 complaint, whether it was Cowboys fans or just people in general, about Jason Garrett? Like, there wasn't enough emotion. They called him the clapper and whatnot. That would never be an issue with Jason Witten. I think there's going to be a lot of appreciation from Jerry Jones because Jason Witten is fiery. He represents the Dallas Cowboys in the star. It's probably one of the more important things to him in Jason Witten's life is how much he loves the Cowboys. I get it. He's got no background, all that stuff.
I understand why you would say that, but the reason why they lost wasn't because of a lack of emotion. That's not how you win. I think the part of the reason why they weren't good was you need someone who is concerned with building and cultivating a culture, which I'm not sure that Jason Witten has prepared to do something like that. A year ago, he was a TV personality, and this season, he was just a tight end. Like, I think it's ironic for us to sit here across from a guy who's been a two-time head coach and just suggest that a dude can walk off the field and grab it. Like, I don't hate this idea because I believe it to be unusual, unorthodox, and I think that teams should step out of the usual patterns in hiring coaches. But if he fails, then no one does it again, and I think he would likely fail.
Well, since you are our head coach sitting at this set, Rex Ryan, who do you think should be the next coach of the Cowboys if they do move on from Jason Garrett?
Well, I think they're going to hire Lincoln Riley. I said that 2 or 3 years ago whenever we were talking about Jason's future before. But it is crazy, like the Jason Witten one though, and I could see it happening. But you better surround him with some real people, some real coaches, and because look, you can't buy experience. We saw Mike Singletary had very, very little experience. That was a disaster. He's a great guy. He's passionate, absolutely is. But, we're going to see what happens.
Here's the biggest thing, though. Whoever they do decide to hire, that can't be just because of X's and O's. I mean, to Mina's point, the offense was really good. The #1 quality for the guy who's going to be the next head coach of the Cowboys, you can't be fearful of the owner. Like, you can't go in there and just try to appease. You have to go in there with the lack of, I'm not going to care if I'm going to tick off Jerry Jones. I'm going to go win football games.
I don't think it's about the owner. It's about the players. And I think it's always a bad idea to hire a coach for scheme. Because scheme, they'll catch up with that. What you can't catch up with is a culture that sustains and elevates the best schemes from week to week and motivates the players to prepare in the way that they need to.
And again, I've said this for weeks. Whoever you hire as your head coach better love Dak Prescott. He can't like Dak.
If any coach, potential head coach in NFL doesn't, well, good. Then that's a good litmus test. If you walk into my office and you say, I'm unsure about Dak Prescott, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out.
We're so glad you're watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, make sure you subscribe to ESPN+. We'll see you there.